Hello, welcome back, family. So now I want to give you something that has been on my mind, and I got a recent spiritual download. Basically, I'm getting a Eureka moment of what is happening between the Taoist practice of cultivation versus the Yogic Indian verdict cultivation, as in their paths are kind of aligned. So what I'm gonna give you are just my opinion and what I seems to link them together. This is by no means a guide to something higher. It's just that I have this sudden insight that comes into my mind, and I thought that this might be interesting to someone and might help someone to connect the dots, as well as I am also a seeker and trying to understand this internal energy arts, the internal alchemy, the Nectar, the Negong, because I too want to reach a certain level of cultivation and energy work that I can sustain high energy within these bodily vessels to become very healthy, to do all kind of magical shit, basically levitation, bilocation, teleportation, and all the magical things that all the yogic claims, all the Taoists would claims, once you reach a certain level and you have mastered the physical vessel, this one. So, like I said, this is the disclaimer of my sudden insight, right? So take this with what you will. What I recently found out is that there is this Jade Fluid in the Taoist system, and then in the yogic system they call it the Amrita. Basically, you reach a certain level of cultivation of doing your energy work. Could be chanting mantra, flowing energy, doing breath work. Doesn't matter which one, because usually it's a combination of them. You do enough, right? You reach a level that you taste the sweet nectar that is falling through your top of the mouth palate or somewhere within the arrow in the mouth. You taste a certain sweetness. So that's why I found it something interesting like that. Like, oh, so Taoists have something called the Jade Fluid. Then Indian have Amrita. What happened is that suddenly I got triggered, and basically this kind of triggering is from my guidance team, my guardian angels. Triggering is not a bad word to me, it's more like an inspired idea. Suddenly I got a thought in my mind like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? So those kind of downloads, people call it downloads nowadays. It's just some random thoughts coming into your mind that is not yours, but you notice that it's not yours and you call it download. That's what usually people do nowadays. So, and most of the thought is not actually yours. It's from outside. And it's very rare that you have your own thoughts. That's the thing. If you go and observe and examine it, right? So I have these ebooks, around 5 to 6 ebooks from this author called Michel, if I pronounce his name right? He's the author of the books of Negong, Nectar, Inner Alchemy in the Daoist line lineage. He's a Westerner but wrote a lot of good books on it. So I got the idea to actually throw all his book into Google Notebook. And from there, I just asked the question based on the sources of this book and see what I can learn. So I got the thought okay, what is, suddenly I forgot what question I asked that leads to the Jade Fluid. Then I discovered the understanding of Jade Fluid, Daoist, Amrita, Yogic. Then another something interesting happened as well. The Taoists have something called the clipping parses. In the yogic tradition, these are called the Granthis. Basically, in the pelvic floor, your stomach and the throat. I think in the Western name, they call the locks. Like, for example, you can lock, throat lock. The perineum area, right, you can lock it by actually sucking the muscle upward, your pelvis floor by moving it upward. You can lock your stomach by actually pushing it in as well. So oh wow, interesting. Taoists actually have three kind of, two system. Either you have the 3 lock system or the 10 lock system. based on whether you're just behind the governing vessel, which is the spinal, or governing and the conception vessel and the frontal as well. That's how you got 3 or 10 basic based on which system you follow, right? Because there are very different schools of thoughts of Taoist cultivation in China. So that's why, because I have heard of Granthis and locks before, and they have something similar also, the third item. In the yogic tradition, they are called the Kundalini energy, right? The Kundalini rising, right? Then in the Taoist, they're called the Yang rising, the Yang Qi. It's also started on the same area, basically at the very bottom of your torso, or at your the coccyx area, right? Your tailbone area. It shoot up to the head, to your skull, within your skull. So if you have not prepared the vessel, you have not do your shadow work, your trauma work, your emotional work, whatever work it is, even your inner child work, right? And this energy rises in Kundalini system, you will have a very, very bad day, like very, very bad. You got what they call the Kundalini system. It's the same with the Taoist system when the Yang Qi rises. If you are not prepared enough, like doing all kind of work, say for instance, you got emotional issues, you got traumas, you got issues that you might not have known and you are putting it away within your shadow. Those will come up and you feel it 10 times the amount of energy coming through. And you become very fearful, very anxiety, very giddy, because the passes, the Granthis, the clipping passes are not fully established. You do not have the foundation. Imagine that there are some minor blockages and the energy is not flowing through at 100% when it should be. Because sometimes people like to actually force their way to awakening, like, oh, I need to open my third eye, the energy need to flow through. They can, there are techniques. But if you can't handle it, you're destroying your own journey of ascension. You will not have a smooth journey. You will have a bumpy ride instead. I would not recommend forcing it. Make sure you please do your foundational work, please. Please do your foundational work. Don't force and open your third eye if you haven't get ready. Even prepare your lower 3 chakras. So yeah, 3 items that sounds and looks similar from both the yogic and the Taoist system. Amrita, Jade Fluid, right? Granthis, clipping pulses, right? Kundalini energy, Yang rising. So, oh yeah, to actually put the final cap to understand everything, right? Both systems also play with the spinal fluid, actually, the CFS. And I think right now I feel right? The Amrita or the Jade Fluid is a changed version or refined version of the CFS leaking through, which tastes sweet. I'm not sure about this, but I feel like it might be the case. Because recently also within this searching and understanding, I felt like, because my team is guiding me to understand what is CFS, cerebrospinal fluid, and what does ventricle really means within our head, the skull, within the brain, right? It's basically just cavity. If you don't understand what's cavity, it's just empty spaces within your brain. So they are like the 3rd ventricle, the 4th ventricle. Basically, there are empty spaces within your brain that's filled with this cerebrospinal fluid, CFS fluid, flowing around. And there's a tube within your spinal column that goes back down into your sacrum area, the pelvis area there, right? So I think there are linkage and connection there. That everyone's basically trying to pump and cultivate their spinal energy in order to awaken. But before that, of course, you need to do your foundational work, right? I think these are the insight that I have for you today, and I've been speaking like 9 minutes already, so I don't want to drag this too long. I hope that this will be insightful for someone who is connecting the dots like me as well. I am not a master, I'm not pretending to be a master, I'm just a seeker on the road and just sharing my insight. So take what you will with this information, alright? I'll see you next time. Bye bye, Soul Family.